Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here. It's a game one of a two-game doubleheader for us, but this is the first episode. So this is going to be tomorrow, right, on Monday. So I figured if we had any football takes, we'd get them out of the way now early. Um, First of all, being, I guess, chronologically for us. Maybe not necessarily once anyone is listening to this, but we're in the middle of the Green Bay Dallas game. And turns out Green Bay is putting the fucking hurting on Dallas. So
Dallas sucks.
Dallas does suck. I want to pull this up quickly
They beat
and
up on no ones all year.
I want to take a victory lap here. Because today at 10:31 a.m., I tweeted this out. Um, the Dallas Cowboys have played 8 games this season against the 6 worst teams by record in the NFL and lost to one of them. They also lost to Buffalo, Miami, San Fran, and they lost one of their 2 games to Philly. So, and then I put in an asterisk and go, you can also toss in the Jets, who have the 10th overall pick. So the teams that they played that have top 6 draft picks, again, the worst 6 teams in the NFL by record, right? So they played the New York Giants twice, who have the 6th overall pick, right? Just by record, they're the 6th worst team in the NFL. They played the Cardinals. They lost to the Cardinals, who have the 4th overall pick. They played the Patriots, who have the 3rd overall pick. They played the Chargers in week 6, who have the 5th overall pick. They played Giants again in week 10. Week 11, they played the Panthers, who have the number 1 overall pick as the worst team in the NFL. Although the Panthers don't have their own first, they still are granted the number 1 pick that will end up on Chicago. And then in week 12, they played the Washington Commanders, who hold the number 2 overall pick, who they then played again in week 18. So that is, if you're going by draft pick, that is of 17 games, they played 9 games. More than half of their games were against teams that have a top 10 draft pick in the upcoming NFL draft. That's how bad their schedule was this year. The hardest part of their schedule, right? Because the early part in, prior to their bye in week 7, again, they played the Giants, Jets, Cardinals, Patriots, a real team in the 49ers who they lost to, and then the Chargers. And then they went on bye. So then they came back, played the Rams, Eagles, but then they had the Giants, Panthers, Commanders. So their toughest stretch of their schedule was from week 13 to 17, where they played the Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, and Lions. They went 3-2 in that stretch, and they barely beat the Lions.
They should have lost to the Lions.
Yeah. They squeaked one out against
that
the
game
Lions.
should have went to overtime. You know what? That's actually not fair because if McCarthy, because I bet on this game, if McCarthy wasn't an idiot, it should have been a so they would have been up 7. They should have won that game by no, they were up 4. They probably should have won that, or up by 5. They probably should have won that game by 8. I can't figure out the math. They should have won that game by with ease. And then they gave the ball away, and then Dan Campbell fucking fucked it all up.
Right.
Because McCarthy threw the ball on 2nd down, which then I think it led to a field goal. I want to say it did. And then the Lions just went right back down the field, scored, and then couldn't convert for 2 to win. And they did not kick an extra point to tie.
Right. Yeah. So, very easily could have went 2-3 in their toughest 5-game stretch of the season.
Well, that's like people are talking about their offense. It's like, oh, they averaged 37. It's like,
yeah, look who they played.
So the offense didn't average 37. Because didn't that one guy have 6 pick sixes?
Right. Yeah, the team averaged 37. I don't know what the
Yeah, the
offense
offense did
average.
not average 37.
Right. Right.
The offense also, or the team averaged 37 with all those defensive touchdowns against shitty fucking teams.
Right. Right. So, yeah, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Um
I am surprised that Green Bay is playing this well.
um but yeah, kind of. They're probably the second hottest team in the NFC behind the Rams. Um
Rams.
the Rams, as Aaron Jones breaks another massive run. Um, I mean, I think the way the Rams and the Packers ended the season, they were playing like the two best teams in the NFC.
Well, the thing that so this is something that's always with the Packers is like you really never know their health,
Well, yeah,
but like it just seems like they always have an organizational health issue
yeah,
or an availability issue. So it's like I don't know who these receivers are, and it's like how do you know if they're any good? Because it's like Christian Watson missed whatever time, Dobbs missed whatever time. Is he Dobbs, Dobbs, Doobs? I don't even
Dobbs,
what Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs.
So
Oh my God, Luke Musgrave just pulled a Chris Hogan. They just didn't cover him down the field. That was fucking hilarious.
I might be behind you for once. Yep, I think I'm behind.
Oh
You're in.
wow, I'm never ahead.
Yeah, you're usually behind me. We're not even on the same time. You're way ahead.
Yeah, that was great. He literally just pulled a Chris Hogan.
The zero human defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even close. Hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's like so, and it's also hard because Jordan Love hasn't started games before.
Right.
So when he comes out and he's like, his completion percentage was fucking nauseating. He was like 33rd in completion percentage at one point.
Yeah. He was bad
Well,
the first half of the season. Like there was no ifs,
well,
ands,
they
or
were
buts.
also
He
two
was
and
he was
five at the time.
he was bad.
I don't know. They seem to figure it out. Either that. So I actually think LaFleur might be a better coach than we think.
Suck it, LaFleur.
Um, because it's like, oh well, he had Aaron Rodgers before, and it's like, yeah, he did. Now he doesn't, and he's
Right.
somehow figured out that Jordan Love train wreck situation because
Yeah.
it was fucking ugly.
He turned Jordan Love from arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL. I know Mac Jones is up there, but he was one of the worst, right? Um, I saw a stat at the beginning of the game since week 12, Jordan Love has the number one passer rating in the NFL.
Yeah,
So literally night and day from first half to second half. So I mean, some of that goes to the head coach. And I know it's kind of a knock against what I've been talking about, and this is going to kind of segue into my next topic here. But I've always been saying, like, I want a head coach that's going to be a head coach and not a guy that's going to have his fucking face in a play sheet. Um, but Matt LaFleur is that guy, right? He's the guy that he calls plays. He calls the offense from the
N-
sideline.
Nathaniel fucking Hackett was the OC
Yeah.
last year or the year before. He was
Uh,
there for a little bit.
no, he was there
Oh, because he was a
three
head
years
coach.
ago. He went to the Broncos and got fired.
That's right. Oh, that was bad.
He was at the Broncos for like a year and a half. They fired
Are
him
you
in the
sure?
second year.
Are you sure he even made it to that second year? Because I think
Um,
that second year would have been this year, and he did not make it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not super sure.
I don't think he made it past the first season. They might have let him go
Um,
in the first season.
yeah, he was only there for 1 year. So yeah, he was the Broncos coach in 22.
So
And
in
then
21, he was like the best OC ever.
yeah, but he didn't call the plays. It's always been LaFleur.
Yeah.
So um but yeah, I mean, I like I said, despite me not really liking that whole end of it. It certainly worked out for him. And to your point, I think he is a good coach. Um, and that's just my opinion, right? Like, obviously, Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Um, and he has his face in the Cheesecake Factory menu. That's his offensive play calling sheet, right? He calls plays.
Well, he
So,
has to because you don't want fucking Matt Nagy doing it.
well, yeah, that's for sure. Um, but even when Eric Bieniemy was there, Reid was still calling plays. Even when
Right.
he had, did he have Doug Peterson in Philadelphia? No.
I mean, Doug Peterson might have been in Kansas City.
Yeah, I think he
He definitely
was.
worked under he worked under Andy Reid. I
Yeah.
don't know if he was an OC or if a quarterbacks coach. I don't know exactly know his role.
Well, like, you know, Andy Reid has had all these guys that are offensive coordinators that are, you know, allegedly pretty good. And he's the play caller. So it's not to say that it can't work, right? But I think that I would prefer my head coach to be a head coach. Um, which again is kind of a segue into the next point is that the Patriots have a new head coach. In the time that we last recorded, the Patriots have fired Bill Belichick and hired a new coach. You would think we haven't recorded in like a fucking month, but they let Bill go, um, rightfully so. Right, it was time. I mean, we've been talking about on the show for 2 years now that it's run its course. Um, and they named Gerard Mayo to be the head coach, who I think again is going to be a real head coach. I don't think he's going to be on the sideline calling the defensive plays, right? I don't think he calls the defensive plays now.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think he's ever called defensive plays, so why would he start now?
Right, exactly. Um, so I actually like the hiring. I I don't know enough to know if I'm in the minority or the majority. Um, but I've seen a lot of like the beat writers be like, "Oh, they never even did interviews or like any of this stuff." And it's like, okay, yeah, but they identified this guy last year, right? And for anyone that doesn't know, that's not familiar, they wrote a stipulation into his contract last year because other teams were starting to request to interview him for their head coaching jobs. Carolina in particular, which thank God they didn't. He said no. So the Carolina Panthers requested to interview Mayo for their head coaching job last year. He said no. He turned them down.
Or
And
the owner.
right. And as a result, Kraft wrote into his contract a stipulation that if and when Bill Belichick leaves the team and Mayo is still under contract, he's the next head coach. So the NFL has this rule apparently that I didn't know of until this week that if a coach on the staff, a current coach on the staff, has a succession plan written into his contract, then the team does not need to conduct interviews. They can just name that person the head coach, right? Because again, anyone
Yeah.
that's a football fan, they know like the Rooney Rule, and you know, typically teams will have to interview people, and you have to interview at least two minorities now with the update to the Rooney Rule and things like that. So,
The only
um,
wrinkle is the NFL does have to approve the succession plan. So like all 32 teams can't just
right,
do that.
right, right,
It's also very rare that it happens. I want to say it's happened like 4 times in like 20 years.
yeah, probably. I
I
can't think
forget.
of any other scenario off the top of my head.
Yeah, I forget the others. I know Jim Mara
Like,
Jr. in Seattle was one.
I was gonna say, I felt like Seattle, but I thought it might have been home. No, was it Holmgren
I forget
when
who came after
when
Mike Holmgren.
Holmgren
Was it Jim
left?
Mara?
Yeah, for some reason, I feel like Mike Holmgren was involved in one of those situations, but I don't know if it was when he was in Green Bay or when he was like if it was Mike McCarthy had it written in his deal to step in after Holmgren in Green Bay, or if it was Jim Mora in Seattle.
Well, Jim Mara in Seattle was definitely one. I don't remember the other ones. If I can pull, I pulled up one article. If I can do it, yes, I can. Um,
Yes, he can.
Ravens GM in 2018 was a
Okay.
succession plan. Jim Caldwell in Indy was a succession plan, and Jim Mara after Mike Holmgren was a
Okay.
succession plan.
Yeah, I knew like I said, I knew Holmgren was involved at some point. So so the Ravens was Ozzie Newsome, right? After he
Yeah, it
left.
was Newsome to the guy now, DaCosta or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So um I don't hate the hire. I think it's a good hire. I think the players are gonna like it, like him, right? They already do. A lot of them already do. It's gonna be interesting to see how he fills out the staff. Um, like I think technically Bill O'Brien is still under contract. So if he wants him, that's his guy, right? Um, kind of like got catty by the end or like throughout the season. If for anyone that follows, in the New England area, which is most of the people who listen, but they would ask Bill O'Brien questions about the offense because it was so bad, and he'd be like, "I just, deal with the guys that are out there." And they're like, "So you don't have any say?" And he goes, "I don't make the roster decisions." So like he was very like bitchy about it when people were
Yeah,
asking him
because I
questions.
don't think he was allowed to do what he needed to do.
Right, right,
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he wasn't allowed to play the players he wanted to play,
right,
wasn't allowed to bring in the guys in the offseason that he wanted.
right.
So,
I
like,
mean,
even like
turns
they
out,
even
I mean, of
he
all
was
the
fucking
people,
right.
yeah, but of all the people too, Farrell Brown ended up being a pretty solid fucking tight end throughout the year, and that's Bill O'Brien's guy. He played for him in Houston. I think he drafted him in Houston.
Yeah, but earlier in the he wanted Pop Douglas playing like right away
Yeah, yeah,
and wasn't allowed to.
right.
And then same thing with like the offensive line. Like the offensive
City
line,
So ended up being a solid right guard.
yeah, but the problem is like the offensive line coach, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to fire Clem. You got to fire Clem." It's like, "What did you want him to do? There was no plan in the
Right,
offseason.
right,
He didn't give him any players.
right,
So how the fuck is that on the coach? There was
right,
no right tackle. There was no like you brought in Riley Reif and he wasn't healthy.
right,
So effectively, you did not bring in a right tackle,
right,
and your plan was a disgruntled Trent Brown,
right.
Owenu,
Who got run out of
Strange.
town the first time he was here because he quit on the team, and you brought him back.
Well, he also was bitching last year because he was supposed to play right, last year, or the year before, he was supposed to play right tackle, but they had him playing left tackle, and that's not what his contract was. It's like,
Right, right, right.
so the guy's already disgruntled.
Yeah,
Uh, Owenu, Andrews, Strange, fine. The health wasn't there, but
right.
that was a fine plan. But you went into it with no right tackle.
Yeah,
Then the guy that you thought was going to play couldn't. So in training camp, you made two late trades for bums.
yes,
And then Strange got hurt, and Owenu had to kick out. So now you're starting rookies.
right.
And Mafi was not ready to go. Sal did
No,
fine.
yeah,
It's a fucking joke.
yeah.
So
And
you
the
had
thing
no health
about
and no personnel.
Clem missed half the season because he had some health issue come up. No, like Bill never got into it. But I mean, rumors and Twitter and everything said that they think he might have found cancer somewhere, so he was undergoing like treatments to get it treated. So they hired Adrian Clem, right, to be their offensive line coach, who was heralded from Oregon, and everyone he said he was awesome, and he missed half the year. Your offensive line coach couldn't even you know, be healthy. I mean, I know that's an awful way to put it if he did have cancer, but he couldn't be present, right, to do his job.
He's just trying to relate to the players, man.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be here half the season, neither am I.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean,
That's how you relate to these
obviously
guys.
you hope he's all good and ready to go. And again, there was no confirmation that it was even cancer, but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, right? Um, but yeah, so I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the team's still not going to be good.
Nope.
That's the thing that I think a lot of Patriots fans don't get now. They're like, oh, Gerard Mayo's here and we'll draft Drake May and everything will be great. And it's like, oh, will be because everyone keeps saying, look at Houston, right? Because Houston brought in D'Amico Ryans, who was a former player for the Texans. It's his first time playing, also a linebacker, too, oddly enough. Um, First time as a head coach, comes in, they draft CJ Stroud, number 2 overall, and they make the playoffs and they look really good, right? And it's like, that is not what's going to happen with the Patriots. It's just not going to happen. There's there's too much going on because look at the Texans roster outside of that, right? They already had Laramie Tunsil, who is arguably the number 1 left tackle in the game right now. Like they put up a statistic of every time Laramie Tunsil has gone against Myles Garrett over the last like 2 or 3 years. Myles Garrett has 1 quarterback pressure. He's got 0 sacks. Myles Garrett, who's probably going to be the defensive player of the year this year, has 1 quarterback pressure when he goes against Laramie Tunsil. Like they have a franchise left tackle, right? The rest of their offensive line is solid. They also have what's turning into be a stud in Nico Collins. He's a second or third year player. And then he got hurt, but they had a phenomenal rookie in Tank Dell who ended up breaking his leg and missing the second half of the year or the last few games of the year. But like they're a way more complete team. Oh, and by the way, they drafted CJ Stroud, number 2 overall. They hit on that. But then they also drafted Will Anderson because they had 2 first-round picks. And Will Anderson's probably going to win rookie defensive player of the year. So, what are the odds that you think that scenario is going to happen to the Patriots now? Like, just because they hired a former linebacker to be their new head coach and they have a draft pick that could end up being a quarterback, right? It's like, oh, well, we'll just be the Texans. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's that fucking easy. It's that easy. Like,
Yeah.
people are
Well, so
just
the other
dumb.
thing too, people are like, oh, the Texans, they turned it around in 1 year. Did they though? Because they drafted Stingley. He
Yep.
was third overall.
Yeah.
They drafted Stroud and Anderson. That was 2 and 3 overall. Um, I don't even know where else their picks have come, but they weren't very good for quite a few years.
Yeah. 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 I love that. Oh, the Texans turned it around in 1 year.
They didn't.
No, they didn't actually.
Yeah, because they acquired Tunsil however many years back.
Right. They haven't been
They
good since JJ Watt was on the team.
so yeah, like that's the thing. The Texans, they didn't do it overnight.
Yeah.
So and then this is the problem: is the Patriots have under contract as it stands right now. They do not have a starting left tackle or right tackle. I would say that the center is highly questionable
He's
as to
probably
whether,
going to retire.
as I would say, as to whether his football career is going to continue.
Yeah.
You have no tight ends, and I believe I mean literally zero. Your
Gasicki
receive,
might still be under contract.
I don't think he is. I don't
Does
know
he
about
have a
Farrell Brown. I don't know about Matt Sokol.
yeah, oh my guy.
I'm pretty sure Gasicki only signed a 1 year deal.
Okay.
Your receiver room is Douglas Booty, Thornton,
And then it's
Juju,
hot
Parker.
garbage. Between Juju and Parker, I think you owe both of them like $35 million.
Not just next year, thank God, but
No,
he
yeah,
has.
no, I mean like in
It's going to
total.
be.
Yeah, total
It's
remaining.
stupid. Stupid.
Because I was looking at
Uh,
it like I would like to cut both of them, but you can't.
no, you have to trade him,
Yeah.
and you're not going to trade Juju. So your only hope is to trade Parker. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you have no quarterback.
Yep.
So the only positions you really have is left guard on offense because defense is actually fine.
Right.
There's some signings I'd like to see, but fine. Uh, on offense, you have a left guard and a right guard under contract. The center's questionable, and you have like your slot receiver and running back.
Yep.
This team is not gonna be good.
No. So I pulled up the Texans, by the way, while you were talking. Yeah, they did it. They did it overnight, right? They did it in 1 year. They made the playoffs in 2019. They were 10-6, right? They won their division. They won the AFC South in 2019. In 2020, they went 4-12. In 2021, they went 4-13. In 2022, they went 3-13-1. And now this year in 2023, they went 10-7 and won their division. But yeah,
Overnight.
they did it overnight.
Overnight.
It's a 1 year turnaround.
Now, I will say the one thing that does keep me like somewhat optimistic with new head coach coming from the defensive side of this dude, this defense has been good since 2018.
Yeah, this is a
Like
very good defense.
they've been, and for all the things that we bitch about on offense, no health, no talent, whatever, you could argue same thing on defense. Definitely no health. The talent's a little bit better.
Their two best players on defense, arguably, certainly their best,
No,
but
they're two best
their two best players on
got hurt.
defense got hurt for the entire year, which is crazy to say that your second best player on defense was a
Was a
rookie.
rookie.
But I mean, Christian Gonzalez looks like he's going to be an absolute fucking stud.
Well, the way you started the year too, it was Jonathan Jones. He stayed, and he was
Yep.
mostly healthy. He missed
Yep.
some games, but fine. Gonzalez got hurt. Marcus Jones got hurt. Jack Jones got cut.
Right.
So you were playing Sean Wade, Alex Austin, Jalen Mills, Miles Bryant. Those two were supposed to be safeties, but they're back at corner because you have no one. Fucking insane, dude.
Yeah.
And the defense was still good.
Right.
So I
Right.
like that someone from that side of the ball is staying. And I don't know how he's going to do his staff. Like, I don't know if Steve Belichick stays, Brian Belichick stays. They both go. I'm not super worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not
Covington's
either.
like the D line coach, so he could be the DC. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, something works there. Also, the NFL is just trash. So you don't really need to be like elite in all these positions because frankly, head coaches and quarterbacks in the NFL suck.
Yeah.
So like there's no reason Dallas should be losing by 32 points right now. Like
No.
that just shows you how bad some of these teams are.
Yeah.
All year they look so good, so good. Look at these guys. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that. 37 points per game. You're getting your ass kicked. Absolute ass kicked by the
Yeah.
Packers.
At home too.
And it's been all year. Like Flacco looked so fucking good till
Yeah.
he turned into a pumpkin.
Right.
Now, Stroud looks good. D'Amico Ryans looks good.
Right.
But year to year fucking changes shit, man. Like, look how
Yeah.
bad Jacksonville looked this year.
Or look how
They looked
good
awful.
look how good Mac Jones looked as a rookie. And then what happened after his rookie year? He's had 2 years following that where he
Yeah.
looks like dog shit.
He actually looks, and that's the thing is if he just stayed as 2021 rookie, you'd be like, oh, well, I don't know if you give him the fifth year. He hasn't really progressed, whatever. He has regressed. He's gotten
Oh
worse
yeah.
each year.
He's gotten worse every year.
So, and then it's like, and then none of these guys can stay healthy. That's the other thing, too. If you can get a quarterback that plays all 17 games, you are going to be a borderline playoff team. And I don't care who
I think I
you
saw a
are.
statistic that there were only 6 starting
They're on the
quarterbacks.
playoffs.
Yeah. Six
They're
starting
all in the playoffs.
quarterbacks that started all 17 games, and all six of them are in the playoffs.
So if you just have a quarterback that stays healthy for 17 games, and this is the shit I fucking hear every day. Oh, line, whatever. If you keep your fucking quarterback healthy, you have a shot at the playoffs in this day's NFL.
Right.
Because
I saw
someone
someone
will get
tweeted,
hurt.
um, someone tweeted not that long ago, and it was like, we now are finding out how spoiled we were growing up, that we lived in the era of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL in history. Do you think about all the quarterbacks that play? Like, we really did grow up in the golden age of NFL quarterbacks, all in one year, right? In one, let's pick a random year, right? Pick 2009, right? Or yeah, I think let's go 2009 because I think Brett Favre
I
hadn't
would say two.
retired yet.
Oh yeah, he was playing for the Vikings then.
So in 2009, you had, we'll go Brett Favre, right? I know he was old, but still, you had Brett Favre.
Vikings. They went to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
They lost.
you had Favre, you had Brady, Manning, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Eli Manning,
Rivers,
Philip Rivers, Matt Ryan,
Flacco, wherever you want to put him on
yeah,
the
Joe
list.
Flacco. Uh, like who else? Who else were some of the? I bet you if I pull up 2009 quarterback statistics and just read the names on that list, it's gonna fucking be unreal.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know. Again, like we did just rattle off like quite a few to be perfectly honest. But like Carson Palmer was playing.
yeah,
Um,
Tony
Kurt Warner.
Romo,
Kurt
Aaron
Warner was playing.
Rodgers. Yeah, so here's the list of all the guys that that played in 2009. Peyton Manning, Tony Romo, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Philip Rivers, Brett Favre, Eli Manning, Kurt Warner, Jay Cutler, Joe Flacco, Donovan McNabb, Carson Palmer, Matt Hasselbeck, Matt Ryan, Alex Smith, Matt Stafford, Vince. I don't count Vince Young. Um,
That was, I would say that was the first. So until you got to, fuck, I forget until you got to Jay Cutler, I thought all those guys were Hall of Famers.
yeah,
One guy was like marginal, but um,
Dante Culpepper was still in the league.
yeah, that wasn't
He played.
2004 Dante
Yeah, I
Culpepper
know.
though.
He played 5 games that year.
Um, but that was the thing is like all of those quarterbacks in today's NFL
Michael
would
Vick.
be, yep, there you
He
go.
he was 2009.
David Garrard might have still been playing.
He
Like,
was. Yeah, he was playing for Jacksonville.
and like that's the funny thing is any of those guys, they're like you put any of those like
Yeah, let's take
I'm sorry, you put one of those guys on the Dolphins love last night, and at least they have a fucking pulse.
yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the other thing too is like so there's partly like a societal thing where it's like, oh, got to protect the players and how they're feeling, whatever. Like, dude, these guys, and
Dude, Matt
it's
Schaub led the league in passing in
there you
2009.
have it.
Like, if so, there you go. There's Matt Schaub. If you put Matt Schaub on the Dolphins last night, like,
He slings it, but he probably doesn't win. You put Philip Rivers on that team,
oh yeah.
and
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Mahomes might not win that game.
Right. It's crazy. That's crazy.
But
That
now
Matt Schaub led the league in passing in
the
2009.
players don't. But this is the other thing. The players don't stay healthy, and I don't. And I think this is like a crackpot theory. I think it's a little bit of the game has definitely like changed towards the health of the players. Like Brett Favre was addicted to painkillers and fucking
Yeah. And
walking
who
fucking
knows what
crooked.
else? Yeah.
Um,
Sending
but
dick pics.
yeah, doing God knows what, hashing out fucking how he was gonna rob the Mississippi Welfare Fund. But like they always played. They played through
Yeah.
everything. These guys, so even if these guys want to, they kind of can't.
Yeah.
I also think with the athleticism on defense, these guys got to move more. That's why they get more ankles and Achilles and knees and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, Some of these guys could have stood back there like a fucking statue and just not get touched.
So let's say we can play this two ways, right? You can take someone like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson, right? Well, stay away from Mahomes because Mahomes, I mean, he had a down year this year, but all signs point to Mahomes is going to be one of the greatest to ever play the game, right? Um,
You would think if he
you would
again, he's
think,
just got to stay healthy.
yeah. I mean, if the next 6 years he has 3 years like this year, then he won't be right. But
Yeah,
he's
but
certainly
watch out because, dude, like they might have to go into Buffalo. Do you really think? Do you trust Josh Allen to win that game?
no, no,
Now they'll probably be a favorite on points. I actually don't know if a sports book can lay Kansas City as a dog. Unless they really think Buffalo is going to win that game, in which case, then lay him as a dog, getting God knows how many points, and then everybody in the entire world will be on Kansas City as a dog, getting points.
right,
I think it might have to be Kansas City like -1 in Buffalo, but I'm no handicapper. So seriously, like that line is shit.
yeah.
I'm telling you that line is shit because I don't set lines, and I've never tried to even guess. But like I'm just trying to think out loud. Do you really like Kansas City going into Buffalo? Do you really like the Bills' chances of winning that game?
No,
I don't like it at all.
no.
So make Kansas City a 3-point favorite. Like again, I
Yeah.
don't know how to set lines,
I mean,
but
they might be a 2 point favorite or something.
might be
You know what I
more.
mean?
Might
Yeah.
be more. And everyone's sitting here, oh, the Chiefs, I don't know. They're gonna get back to the AFC Championship game, most likely.
Yeah.
The only thing that would suck is if they had no, it won't be possible. Because they would get because if the Steelers upset the Bills, the Steelers are playing the Ravens. Who's that lead? Oh, the Texans. Oh my God,
Yeah.
they gotta play the Texans.
Yeah.
Like at home. Houston's going to fucking Kansas City.
Yeah. No way.
I'll just take the points. Or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'll lay the points. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many.
Yeah. Um, so what I was going to say was there's two ways to play the game, right? So you can take the top guys from now and put them back then and see where they stack, or vice versa, right? So let's this is what I mean. So take Burrow, Allen, and Lamar Jackson, and let's bring them back to this list of guys from 2009. Where would you rank Josh Allen right now if he played in 2009? Because he's these those three guys are three of the top four quarterbacks in the NFL, like without any question, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's tough.
it's Mahomes, and then it's those three.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough though because Josh Allen then is this is 2009, so the defensive rules were still in play. Josh Allen then is going to lose a lot more games
So
because because
he's
he's John
behind.
Kitna.
So he's behind Manning, Rodgers, Brady, Breeze, Rivers,
Rivers.
probably behind Matt Ryan.
2009 Matt Ryan and current Josh Allen are probably very similar players.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I'll take that. I might take Carson Palmer over him though.
2009 Carson Palmer. Who was
Yeah.
he playing? Raiders?
No, that was Cincinnati still.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. He was 30 years old in
Yeah, I mean,
2009.
I would want Carson Palmer. He was better at taking care of the ball, or at least I remember him being better at taking care of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he still threw his picks, don't get me wrong.
So, I mean, the number two quarterback in the NFL now, right now, is probably not a top 10 guy in 2009.
No, I
I,
don't think he is.
like, I don't know.
And
I
I
don't know
think,
how many names I just
but
listed
I
off,
would
but
also,
I mean, he's
where,
borderline top. He might
but,
be 11,
but
right?
I was going
Like,
to say, but 11 to 17 from 2009 are all really close. So it's
right,
like
right.
he, might be top 15, depending on how you look at it, but he might not be top 15. But like
Yeah.
11
I
to,
mean,
again,
the
11,
guy that I think holds up is Lamar Jackson.
because he has a different skill set.
Yeah, I think
Gen-
Lamar Jackson would
generally,
probably still be top five.
generally, he takes care of the ball.
Yep.
So now here's the other thing though.
I mean, Joe
When
Burrow,
the Ravens get
if
to
you put
run their
Joe
offense,
Burrow in 2009, Joe Burrow's not a
he's
top
going to be
10. He's not a top 10 quarterback.
not over those guys.
Yeah,
So here's the thing with Lamar Jackson though, because of the times, right? Because it is a different game.
right.
He any better than Michael Vick, you think? Because I think Vic threw it better than he did.
Yeah, I think he's more physically gifted than Michael Vick.
I think Vic had a better arm, an ability to see passing.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think Lamar
Okay.
Jackson is bigger, stronger, faster. Like he's a better he's like
Have
a
you
better
noticed
physical
have
specimen.
you have you noticed though that Lamar Jackson's been much more calculated about when he's running the ball now?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. He's figuring it out. He's growing as a quarterback for sure.
I think he loses more games in that NFL than this NFL because of who's on the other side. So ultimately, in 2009, you got to win.
But you
Like you
think
have to be a
about
winner.
it's a that's 6 years later though too, right? I was gonna say think about Cam Newton, right? Like I think Lamar Jackson is it's hard to call him a better Cam Newton because Cam Newton was fucking huge. He was like 6'5", like
Yeah, it's a different because
250.
he's faster and harder to tackle, but Cam was just running people over.
Yeah. And I
He
think
probably
Lamar
throws
Jackson's probably 6'3", like 230.
kind of have a feeling he throws a better ball than Cam.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that my thing was like, well, look at what Cam did in that NFL, but that to call it that NFL, that was 6 years later, and he didn't win,
He also only did it for a year.
yeah,
And how did that Super Bowl go?
right. Yeah. LOL.
So
Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said, of all the guys, I think Lamar Jackson's probably the one that holds up the most.
he
But even
might
still,
just because
if
of
he's the
physical gifts,
the
but
third best quarterback right now,
he ain't top five in
no,
2009.
but he's top 10.
Yeah, probably because I mean, again, there's other things too. So it's like the 2000, like, I mean, if he's on the Ravens in 2009, like they're gonna play to his strength. Like, yeah, it's the whole
Right.
like they do now. They play to his strengths. Harbaugh was still the coach. Like,
Right.
it's actually a very similar situation.
So then the other thing you can do is flip it, right? So if you take like the 10th best quarterback from 2009, right? So if we go Manning, Brady, Breeze, Rodgers, Roethlisberger, Rivers, um, from there, I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot. So let's go Rivers, right? I mean, Favre was still kicking around at 40 years old, but let's go Philip Rivers. If 2009 Philip Rivers played today, he was probably the what I list him as like the seventh or eighth best quarterback in 2009. He's number two. He's only behind Mahomes. He's better than Allen. It's going to be tight between him and Lamar, but so I think Lamar holds on to the 3 spot, but he's certainly better than Allen and Burrow.
He would fit this NFL really good, doing a lot of stupid shit, but he'd be
He would
healthy
he would
also.
throw for like 6,000 yards.
Jay Cutler would too.
Yeah, yeah. Jay Cutler would have 6,000 yards and 32 interceptions.
It's just one of those things too. Like he'd be healthy or he would play. Like that's the thing.
Right.
He would play more. Like these guys can't make it a full fucking season.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, what
All
do I
that to
know?
say, just need to stay healthy.
Yeah, yeah, and that the
Your
game
quarterback doesn't have to be
is
that
different.
good. You just need to be healthy.
Right. Right. Agreed.
And then if you want to win playoff games, yes, you need to be good and healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you just want to get to the playoffs, you just need to be healthy
Pretty much.
and have your coach not be fucking drooling on himself.
Yeah, your coach can't that's why Tomlin always gets there.
Right. Yeah, I think now finally 17 years in to his reign as a head coach in Pittsburgh, people are finally recognizing that Tomlin's a good coach. He's never had a losing season in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he had one. He never
No.
had like a 5-11 year.
No, he's never had a losing season
That's fucking crazy. But he's
as a
definitely
head
missed the
coach.
playoffs.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah,
missed the playoffs.
that's fine. We don't have to look it up. I think that is correct because
Well,
I've heard.
I got it right here. So starting in 2007, 10 and 6, 12 and 4, 9 and 7, 12 and 4, 12 and 4, 8 and 8, 8 and 8, 11 and 5, 10 and 6, 11 and 5, 13 and 3, 9, 6 and 1, 8 and 8, 12 and 4, 9, 7 and 1, 9 and 8, 10 and 7. Never had a losing record as a head coach in 17 years.
And he's won one, lost one.
Yeah. Yep. And this season, people are finally starting to say he's one of the best coaches.
Well, dude, look around.
It took 17
These guys are
years.
idiots, man.
Yeah. But I think that also kind of attests to how good the coaching used to be, too. Like the game is just different, right? Like the game's just different. But you can do the same thing we just
I
did with
think,
quarterbacks with coaches, right? Mike Tomlin is
yeah, it's
a top 5 NFL coach today, but in 2009, he probably wasn't top 10 because the coaches then were, again, that good.
yeah, and I will say, like, there's also times now, and I'm not gonna blame analytics because that's fucking lazy, but um, there's definitely times now you hire somebody and you know that they have no coaching skills.
Right.
They just know how to fit whatever formula they're trying to fit.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love the Dan Campbell hiring, right? Like, and that again, I go back to like the guy that's going to be the head coach, right? The guy should be the leader of the team, not like, oh, I'm so involved in calling plays, right? And I know I said it can work, right? Because Andy Reid has made it work. Um, but I think to be really that good, you have to be the leader of the team, which
You got
is
to get the guy.
again,
Well, it comes back like back in the day. It used to be you had to get the guys to play for you.
right. Well, that was the Bill
Why would
Belichick in, was it
anyone?
2009?
Yeah, you can't get the guys to fucking play for me. The
Yeah,
Gary Dight years.
Adalius Thomas.
Yeah.
Adalius Thomas
Um,
pulled a Charizard. It was like, yeah, fuck you.
I'm not listening. Um, yeah, it's like what? Like Arthur Smith has to go somewhere. Why would anybody listen to that guy? What a fucking dork.
Yeah,
And if you're on the outside looking in, and like let's say you're a star, let's say you're the Bengals, and let's pretend you have an OC opening. And Zach Taylor comes down and goes, "Hey guys, what do you think?" He goes to Burrow and Chase, Mixon. Hey, what do you guys think of Arthur Smith? And they're like the guy that couldn't figure out how to use Bijan Robinson,
Drake London and
Drake
Kyle
London,
Pitts.
and Kyle Pitts. I think we're good.
Yeah,
You want to like, oh, the guy that put fucking Cordero Patterson at like regularly as a running back when you have Bijan Robinson
yeah, yeah,
and Tyler Algier, who ran for 1,000 yards a year before. I mean, he might have got hurt. I don't know. I didn't hear shit from him later in the season, but like, no.
yeah, yeah. We're all good with that
Especially in
guy.
this NFL where Jamar Chase is going to only look at how many targets am I getting?
Right,
Not enough.
right.
Yeah. You go to fucking Minnesota, go to Justin Jefferson. Hey, we're thinking about bringing Arthur Smith as an OC. No,
Yeah. Nope.
nope. I
All
saw what he
good.
did there. Nope, good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how anybody hires him after what he did in Atlanta,
Well,
but
someone will because he does know what he's doing.
yeah.
He's just not very good at it, and he turns every offense into the fucking Tennessee Titans.
Hey, get out of there. Pickett's trying to fucking eat something over on the end table. I don't know what it
Love,
is.
love that.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's sarcasm speaks on football.
Yep.
um, let's see. Before we wrap things up here, um, I got one thing that I want to get to as a follow up to something we talked about. I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before, but we talked about how the Massachusetts state budget was like the
Cronenberg.
deficit. The deficit was, yeah, Cronenberg. It was absolutely fucking insane. Well, Governor Healey has decided that she has figured out some ways to help that budget deficit. Um, one of them is the I think one of the big ones is to cut funding to fire departments in the state.
I figured she would have picked police first.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, they
Everyone
probably
loves
are. They've been
firefighters. Why is
gutted
she
so
cutting from
much.
them?
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows, right? Um, so I think Mass Health actually. What the fuck? I don't know what the fuck she's doing over there. But Mass Health, it says, is bearing the brunt of the $375 million that she's going to slash from the state budget. So let's see. Behavioral health is losing, or behavioral health supports, whatever that encompasses, is losing 5.2 million. Housing services and counseling is 5 million. Grants to local fire departments is $1.6 million. Parks, much to the chagrin of Leslie Knope, is losing $775,000. And economic development projects are losing 11.3 million. So all of these will fall under the budgetary knife. As Healey's office says, it looks to rein in costs while avoiding cuts to core functions of state government. I didn't know the fire department was not considered a core function of the state government. So, and this is where it gets good too, right? So remember this, because for the people that are in Massachusetts, right? Because everyone was like, oh no, we vote for Healey because she's a Democrat and Democrats are great and this state is fantastic, right? Truthfully, I don't remember who the Republican candidate was. He's probably a cunt because they all are. But this is the thing that I guarantee you. I'm too lazy and I don't have it in front of me. I'm not going to go back and look at like the stances she took during her campaign. But I bet you, as a Democrat from Massachusetts, she was in support of education. Well, the area that she targeted to cut during these budget cuts is to include grants for high school enrollments at $2.5 million. Local public safety, whatever that amounts to, 1.5 million, and grants to local public health boards at 2.5 million, and grants to look councils on aging at 1 million. So education is getting cut. They're cutting $2.5 million out of the education budget in the state, which again, I'm sure if you went back, which I'm not going to do, and found all the things she talks about on the campaign trail, she was probably talking about how, we need to focus on education and make education better. And Massachusetts is a beacon of education and blah, 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 blah. And Harvard, MIT, blah, blah, blah. Well, now she's cutting funding to education in the state. So that's fun. The $1 billion tax cut package that lawmakers passed last year will remain untouched. I don't know anything about that. I have no idea what that's about, but apparently that's not being touched. Oh, we have a budget czar. Healey's budget czar, Matthew Gorkowski. said that the average taxpayer should know is that we're on top of the situation. Thanks, Matt.
I hope he gets paid a lot for that.
That's your budget czar. They actually call him that on masslive.com. They say Healey's budget czar, Matthew Gorkovich. So pretty good there.
I don't know what I was thinking. Pretty sick.
Yeah. So I have friends and people that I follow that are firefighters. So I saw a bunch of them post on Instagram that I think a chunk of that, whatever it was, $1.6 million that's being cut, is actually being cut from programs that screen for health issues and like cancer in particular. Because obviously, like guys that make a career of going into fires and breathing smoke have a much higher rate of cancer. It's quite literally cancer fire is their job. And I think a solid chunk of that 1.6 million is going to be coming out of the programs that currently exist to help firefighters like either get screened or get tested or get treatment. So that's good.
Tough, man, because everyone loves firefighters.
Yeah, I know, right? They're the real heroes. Not like those damn cops.
No.
They don't do anything for anybody. They definitely don't protect people.
When have they ever helped me?
So yeah, that's the current state. Oh wow, this is great. This guy Matthew Gorkovich, the budget czar, has some fantastic quotes in this article. Another quote later on in the article from him says, "Well, we can't spend what we don't have."
I get this guy a raise.
This guy is like the Yogi Berra of fucking politics.
They should cut from another program to give him a raise.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Oh man. So he said they also have identified certain revenue opportunities that would increase the state's non-tax revenues by $625 million. When pressed for specifics, Gurkovich said the windfall came from quote unquote interest earnings on state investments, but did not provide much additional detail. So he was like, oh, we also have an idea that we'll be able to collect an extra 625 million. Well, how are you going to do that? Don't worry about it. It's on interest. Okay. Sick.
Oh,
So yeah, yeah, let's get that guy a raise. Matt Gurkovich.
well, typical fucking politician.
Yeah. There's one guy. This guy actually seems legit. So Paul D. Craney, I don't know who that is. Um, but he provided a quote here at the very end of this article, and it says Monday's announced cuts were the end result of quote many poor economic decisions made by Beacon Hill leaders over the past year, starting with the state's millionaire tax, said spokesperson Paul D. Craney. Our economy thrived for years under a flat tax structure, and we likely could have continued to thrive. Instead, Beacon Hill leaders pig-headedly allowed our competitive edge, the flat tax, to be eliminated, and we're paying the price now. That guy seems smart. I like Paul D. Craney, right? Because let's be real, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not even fucking close. I will never be a millionaire in my entire lifetime unless I hit the lottery. But I can understand the value of not having a millionaire tax in this state.
Not if you want people to stay here.
It's
Well,
like
no, even
it's
as even as simple as so someone who is 65 years old, ready to retire, they move somewhere warm. And you know what? Maybe they'll spend 6 months and 1 day there.
Right.
Now, you know what? Now they're not a Massachusetts resident. Figure it the fuck out.
Right. Right. They spend, whatever it is, 183 days or whatever it comes out to be, 184 days. Um, but yeah, like that is classic, like just seems to me like incomplete thought process, right? Like that's the logic of I would expect from like a 20-year-old, right? Where it's like, oh, well, we need to raise more money. Well, why don't we just tax the rich people more? And then they're just like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, no one then had the follow up to say, like, well, if you institute this tax that's going to tax people that are millionaires, why would the millionaires stay here? Like, why wouldn't they just not live here anymore? Well, yeah, no. That's not a problem. They'll stay, and we'll make them pay more taxes for it. It's like I said, like that's an idea that like I would expect a 20-year-old to come up with, right? Like, oh, we need to raise more money for the state, right? Oh, well, let's tax the millionaires. Oh yeah, it's a great idea. Let's do it. End of conversation. Like no,
I
like
wish there
no
was.
one thought about the repercussions of that because now we're in a fucking deficit, a massive deficit, because we're not collecting as much tax because people are leaving the state. Like that's a fact. Massive. What did I say in that one of the last episodes? Were we the fifth on the list of the most fled states in the country between after California, New York, I think it was Illinois, Pennsylvania, and then Massachusetts. But yeah, we should definitely keep that millionaire tax. Really incentivize people that are millionaires to stay in the state to pay more taxes. That's so fucking dumb. Like for anyone that can't see that situation is so fucking dumb.
Well, people are idiots.
Yeah, that's true. They are. Well, on that note, you want to wrap this up?
We can wrap this up.
All right. What do you got?
Um, if the Patriots, mine's gonna be very fast. If the Patriots don't hire an actual general manager and they just try to do this like Mac Bro, Elliot Wolf, like whoop de doo, fucking GM by committee. I'm not gonna say I'm out because I'm definitely not out, but probably not gonna be attending a game anytime soon. I just really hope they fucking hire an actual GM.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we're going to find out really soon how much of this goofy shit was Bill and how much of it was ever Kraft, right?
Well,
Because
yeah, okay, we will because if they don't actually hire a GM and it still sucks, then it's on Kraft.
then it's Kraft. Well, because the other thing with the team in general, right? For anyone that's a Patriots fan or been in the area, like for years and years now, there's been like goofy things with like people's job titles and things. And now, me personally, I'm not one to make a whole big deal out of a job title anyway, but like on a sports team, like there are specific job titles that exist for a reason, right? Like teams have offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and special teams coordinators. And then they have like assistant head coaches. They have, linebackers coach, offensive line coach. Like there are specific coaching positions that exist all across the NFL. And for years and years and years, for whatever reason, the Patriots just didn't assign any titles to any of those guys. So, like what we mentioned before, the de facto defensive coordinator, right? The guy that called the plays on the defense was Steve Belichick. But he was listed as like the secondary coach or something. I don't know. That was Brian Belichick. I don't know what Steve Belichick's job title is because I know Mayo was a linebackers coach, right? And for the longest time, I mean, they did allow it with Josh when Josh came back, but there was no offensive coordinator. And they did give it to Bill O'Brien this year, but there was no offensive coordinator last year. Like Matt Patricia called the plays, but he was an offensive assistant. He was not the offensive coordinator by title, right? So it's like what, and there's never been a GM, right? Like under Bill, like I think even Scott Pioli was like
He was
the
a GM.
vice,
It was after like
he was
'04.
the vice president of player and personnel or something. Like,
After '04, things got weird when
yeah,
Weiss and Crennel left.
yeah. And it's like all these people had like weird, goofy titles. Like Dave Ziegler, before he left to go to Vegas, was like the director of scouting or player personnel or something. Like, so it's just weird, right? Like it's goofy. And you wonder, like, was that Bill just trying to be Bill and be like go against the grain and do his thing? Or is that like an organizational thing that Kraft supports, right? Like, I don't know. So like I said, we're gonna find out real quick
Yeah, well,
how
Kraft's a
much
cheap
of it was
fuck,
Bill.
so I think
Yeah,
it's both of them because Kraft is a cheap fuck. So he's going to try to not hire a GM so you don't have to pay them an actual GM
right,
job.
right, right. So I guess we'll see. We'll see pretty quick. Um, let's see here. My final thought is also a relatively quick one. So Amy and I watched Echo over the last few days. It came out last Wednesday. Have you seen it yet?
I watched the first two episodes, fell asleep through one of them.
Okay. So Echo is the new Marvel show on Disney Plus. It's the spin-off character from Hawkeye. Um, I won't give any spoilers out because it hasn't even been out for a week yet. Um, but I thought it was overall good. It was like okay to good, right? Like I would give it like a B or like a maybe a B minus, right? Like it wasn't bad. There were some parts of it where I was like, ah, this is a little much. Um, but I mean, this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailers. But fuck, I'm blanking on the guy's name. Vincent D'Onofrio plays Kingpin, and he is a phenomenal villain. Like he is incredible, and he makes the series a lot better. Um, so I think it was pretty. It was good, right? Like I said, I give it a B. A solid 85, right? So there's a again, no spoilers, but there's a cameo from a really important character like 10 minutes into the first episode um that I thought was pretty funny, but that's it. That's all you get of him in the show. But I think it's not a secret that he's coming back if you follow the Marvel timeline and see everything that they're going to release. So um but yeah, overall it was good. I liked it. Like I'll probably go back and watch it again. It's only 5 episodes. Um I understand in a way why they did it shorter because again, so for people that don't know, that don't follow Marvel, like this character is deaf. So well, the woman is deaf in real life. I think her name is Alaqua Cox. Um, she's great, right? She's a great actress. I think she does well. But I can understand from like a Hollywood like producer perspective that 8 to 10 episodes of having to read subtitles when people are talking in American Sign Language, yeah, that could probably be a little much, right? Like I can see where like a producer sitting in a boardroom somewhere would say like, yeah, we need to make this a little bit shorter. Um, but like as a viewer, I didn't really mind it. And I would have probably liked at least one more episode or them to be a little bit longer. Because they're all, I think the first episode might be an hour, but they're all between like 30 and 40 minutes, and there's only 5 of them. So, And I will say the second episode is the worst one of the five. So that's probably the one that you fell asleep during. But the last three are good, right? The second episode is not good, but the other ones are solid. Um, but yeah, I mean that's just kind of my take on it, right? Like I wish they maybe a little bit longer, maybe at least one more episode. Um, but I can understand again why they probably kept it short.
It's also like the new Marvel Spotlight, like brand, I guess, which is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a its own thing too.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, it doesn't need to lead into anything else. You don't need to know what the hell happened beforehand. It just stands alone.
Okay. So I did notice that, and Amy said that to me during like the opening credits. Like they don't do like the Marvel
It's the
credits. It's the
first
Marvel spotlight.
it's the first Marvel Spotlight thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for game one of the doubleheader. So thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe up top, hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only listener as well. Tell everybody you know about the show. Spread the word. You get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Go to the merch store, buy some merch, and support all of the sponsors in the show notes below, where you can get the links and the promo codes all there in one spot. So that's going to do it for us. Until next time, good night, everybody.